This is the Dog Savant Podcast with your host, Brett Endies.
Hello, and thank you for listening to the Dog Savant Podcast. I am Brett Endies. I'm your host. Today is episode 66. The purpose of this podcast is to share my dog training experience with you if you are a dog owner looking for quality dog training advice. If you're a dog trainer wanting to supplement your understanding and the advice you're giving, or if you're a client of mine and just want to complement the work we're doing in the real world with some more information and getting a reiteration of what we go through in our training sessions. This podcast is for you. So I always remind, and I am not quite sure if it's working, but please don't forget to share, rate, review, and subscribe. We've been at 12 reviews and counting, and a couple of them I recognize are just clients of mine. So I don't know, are you people able to hear this? Are you listening? I know it takes a lot of listeners to get a few to actually do this. So maybe I have more people who actually are hearing my voice than I realize, but quite frankly, it seems like a futile effort. I'm very busy. I use my time in traffic to do these when I can. I try to be consistent and get out weekly episodes. And you might notice that last week we did not have an episode, and there's a direct reason for that. I've really been doing some soul searching to see if this podcast is worth putting out there anymore. I am overbooked all the time. It's just is what it is, and I just really want to be able to use my time to help as many dogs as possible. My time in a day, my time on the planet, the time that I offer, that I give. You know, this is just free content, and anyone who has applied it has told me that it has worked, so I'm just hoping that it's helping you. But it gets a little discouraging when you don't get the feedback. I'm not trying to monetize this. I told you, I just want to create a nice community of like-minded dog people to be able to help more dogs, and hopefully you can learn from this and share with people that you meet in the real world, and maybe I'll have a book to offer you, or maybe a workshop or something, or an online course. But I'm not looking to get sponsors out of this. I'm not looking to have you send me money to my Patreon. I tried that already. It's just not worth it to me. I get paid for my clients. They pay me well. I'm in LA. It's a high ticket market. I just want to share this, and I figured I would express, I don't want to say a concern, but my thoughts about this. And even here, I've been all day hesitating. Do I really even want to put a podcast out today? Is it really worth the effort? It does require effort to do a stream of consciousness, to talk continuously, whether it be an 8-minute episode, a 20-minute episode, and to stay in context, to make sense, to not go too off, to not do what I do, which is me being a guy who has a lot going on, can express my own frustrations towards things like the purely positive community, and I try not to, air my dirty laundry on you people, because we all have problems, and I actually want to be a guy who can help you with yours, not pour mine out to you, even though a sounding board is always good. All right, so I think I said my piece. Here we are. We're doing another episode, so I guess I am continuing. But I just want to let you know, guys, it's really going to come down to you showing your support or acknowledgement that you are listening to this for me to continue. And no, I'm not a computer guy. I'm not going to take the time to run analytics. I have my girlfriend upload this every week on iTunes, on YouTube, and I'm sure it's enough for people to find it. And if you're listening, great. If not, I don't know. So let me know, because after a while, if I don't get much more feedback, I think we're going to just cap this and let you know that I put a nice lexicon information out there, and you can pull back on old episodes and get whatever bits and pieces of dog training information related to whatever subject imaginable in my back catalog. So that's that. All right, so I actually didn't even have a subject for you guys today when I decided to put out a podcast. I am literally sitting on Laurel Canyon Boulevard in the Hollywood Hills. It's 6:57, so we got prime traffic going back to the valley, the direction I'm going. This is the one of the main thoroughfares that goes from Hollywood to the San Fernando Valley, so that's what I'm doing. So let's see. Oh, we'll talk, let me stay relevant. So I just came from a client, working with them. They're doing actually really good work. It's only our second lesson. But initially when they had reached out to me, and I get this a lot, is that a lot of people will want to feel that a dog's behavior issues or the way that their personality is formed has to do solely with their breed. Now, breeds do have different genetic potentials, drives, skills, if you will, or more pronounced instincts in certain breeds versus others, but psychologically they're all dogs. When they get together, they don't assess, oh, you're this breed, I got to follow a different protocol, like as if I was in another country and I had to understand the culture and language of that different version of a person. But even then, they're still a human. They have the same wants and loves and family priorities and the same as anyone anywhere in the world. We're all just humans. We just might have different cultures and look a little different and sound a little different, right? But that's how I see dogs. Because I find that when you start excusing the behaviors for the breed, you never even see what's going on. And a lot of breeders do this. If you read a lot of these breed-specific books, they'll tell you that this dog is inherently aggressive. I could see any dog breed rare and common, and I could tell you, I'm talking about dogs being aggressive inherently based on their personality, on their lack of socialization, on the poor relationship they have with their owner, on being babied, not having enough exercise, not the proper nutrition. Rarely do I regard anything in the breed more than like, boy, this is a big, powerful dog in your breed, so we have to be careful if it's a biter. Or your dog is driven, so we have to make sure it has the right outlets, but your dog being antisocial is your dog being antisocial. We've got to do this rehab work regardless of what their size, breed, or stature is. And that's, again, it gives you a pure view of what's going on inherently when it comes to dogs and their behaviors and the relationship we have with them and the shared experiences, and then really just pulling all of that away, pulling that samsara of the dog human-dog relationship, and you can look up the word samsara, S-A-M-S-A-R-A, it's a Buddhist term. You'll understand that it's a blinded state of seeing things that aren't there from the mind's eye that isn't really what's going on in reality or how it inherently exists. Because nature has a set of laws that you can't deny. And just because you live, in the hills of LA and you feel the exclusivity because of your lifestyle, you're going to really start blinding yourself to the fact that your dog is still a dog and doesn't have any awareness of its breed or anything more than just its instincts, impulses, and the type of relationship and structure or lack of that you're creating in the home environment, your shared experiences together. A perfect example of this is one of my clients. And at this point, I'm not quick to drop names, but he's a guy who created a very popular television show in the 80s, and he is very well to do. He's a man, I'd say, I probably brought him up in other episodes because it's a very unique example of the typical LA client. He has a couple golden retrievers. He got them as puppies. Yes, they're litter mates. Bad idea. And he also, because of his lifestyle and not having children, is very indulgent. For himself, that's fine, but towards his dogs, it means that he's not going to want to do the training himself. He had a nanny for his dogs. I think I even had a chef for his dogs. And the problem was, and he quickly was finding out, that his exclusivity didn't mean shit when it came to how his dogs saw him. His dogs didn't respect him. His dogs could care less how much juice he had in this town. His dogs just wanted him to create the structure, the leadership, the boundaries, and take the time to walk them and train them and do activities that any dog would want. Whether you're a homeless person living on the streets or you're living in a castle in the hills, your dog just sees you as another human and their potential leader or lack of. And this is what is a very common complaint that these type of people have, is how come when you show up, or when my staff or the other person's handling the dogs, they're doing so much better, but for me they walk all over me, or they act out, or they actually have behavioral issues that only appear when I'm around them or they're in the home with me. It's because it's very relational. And unfortunately, people that have a very unreal life are very hard to incite reason in, because who am I as the dog trainer? And I'll tell you, I am pretty good at it, but who am I as the dog trainer to come into their house when everyone around them, especially in this town, is usually going to tell them what they want to hear because they have exorbitant wealth or power or ability to connect them to something that's going to help this person's career. I mean, even people have family members that this is how they operate around them. Where a dog, it's a pure relationship. And yes, that is why I'm good at what I do. That's why I found my niche in this market, and why these are the type of clients I have, is that I'm good at inciting reason in them and getting them to pull away the samsara, the mask, or the illusion, or the entitlements that they feel, as whether it be just a dog owner who has so much love for their dog that the emotions are blinding them, or someone whose downright lifestyle is so unreal, it is almost impossible for them to understand what normalcy is anymore. And sometimes I sit down with these people and we have a complete sidebar conversation in a way that they will share with me. No one's ever talked to them like that before, and they appreciate it. I'll give you one story, okay? I think I've dropped this name. So I used to be the dog trainer for the Musk family. Yeah, the Elon guy, that guy. I never met Elon, but I work with his ex-wife and his children often. And what it came down to was that I had to confront her, his ex-wife Justine, and tell her, like, look, you keep sending this dog to me to get trained or have me work with one of your staff, yet you're complaining that the dog doesn't listen to you. And what I found was, at first I was like, you can't say that to this person. I'm like, why? She's a person that needs my help. And me telling her the truth, whether she likes it or not, that's helping her. And that's what most people do see. And you'd be amazed that even people that have all these barriers up and are so scared, people are so scared of them. And if you don't handle them right, they are scary, a lot of them. And they will just get the fuck out of my house. But with me, they don't, because I'm not saying I just understand. They're dynamic enough to get them to get their guard down a bit so they can hear me. And then when I show them tangible results, they let me hold their hand and guide them so they can have the relationship with their dog. Because that's all this comes down to, is how you see your dog purely. And that's what this podcast or this subject is about, is seeing what's really going on, seeing dogs inside of the packaging. You know, someone could be driving a $200,000 car. I see it all the time. I a lot of LA stuff in this episode, but you see it, and then the person in it is garbage as a human, right? Then you can see someone driving or doesn't even own a car, and they're beautiful as a human, and they have such high value. They're intelligent. They work hard. They're decent. They're compassionate. So you have to look beyond the packaging. It's what's the essence. And sometimes you have to have a critical eye. It's not about like, oh, we're going to see you for who you are and you can do no wrong. No, we're seeing you for who you are so we can help do the work to address what's going on, to create balance where you have imbalances, anxieties, insecurities, and the wrong kind of relationship. This is very symbolic for human work. And I tell you, I do what I do because I live vicariously through the balance and potentials we can create in our dogs that is much harder for humans, especially someone like me who has anxiety, has a very frenetic way of receiving information. I struggle with transitions. This is all me I'm talking about when I talk about the dogs, but as a human, it's up to me to do my own work. As the dogs, it's up to us to be self-aware for their sake and help them work through their issues. All right, so I'm always on shore. I do try to play back my episodes, and I have my girlfriend do a review to let me know if I'm actually making sense. And like I said earlier, if you guys can give me some feedback, let me know if I'm making sense to you, or if there's any questions you have, or just say, hey, Brett, tune in Tokyo. I've been listening. Because I'm getting all these weird analytics saying that people in Russia and Finland and Korea and all these places listen. Are you? Do you even understand me? Do you speak my language? I don't know. I just don't know. So I need to know. So don't forget to do that. iTunes, YouTube, anywhere else. Go to my website, dogtrainingla.com. If you're in Los Angeles, I'm happy to help you. If you have questions, even if you're not in the area, I want to be able to answer them, whether I can send you some quick notes, messages, or answer them on this podcast. Email me, dogtrainingla@gmail.com. All right, everybody. Thanks again. Thanks for letting me vent a little bit. I hope I set the record straight. I want to do this podcast for you, but I have to have the incentive. Thank you. Have a good night.